Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm Mr. Mondstadt and here we are at the nation of free to play. And today, as you can see, we're gonna make a tier list. But what kind of tier list, you might ask? Well, instead of 5 stars, since we're F2P, we have to face the truth, and most of the time we can't afford to guarantee the characters we want, but there are a lot of great 4 stars in the game. And today we're gonna talk about the best 4-star characters in Genshin Impact at Z0. So what we're gonna do is I will give you my unbiased opinion on who you should build if you get them, even at Z0. And I put emphasis on build and not pull for, because if you're really F2P, you should never pull for a 4-star if you do not want 5-star on the banner. You just have to be patient, sooner or later you get them one way or another. So let's make our first tier, and as our top tier we have the must build characters. The second one is not quite as good but pretty dang close, which is worth building, followed by the third tier, which are optional builds, followed by if you really like them, and then we have the last tier, which is do not waste your resin. First of all, as a disclaimer, like, of course you can build any of the characters, like in the end it's a game and you should build who you enjoy playing. But if you're really like starting out or you're limited on your resources, this is just some advice I wanted to share with you after playing the game as F2P for like almost 2 years now. So the last tier, we have one more tier, which is a special tier, which is constellation lock. Now you might say, you said you're gonna do a Z0 based tier list, and yes I will, but there are a couple of characters who are very different from Z0 to Z6, which is why I wanted to mention them in a special tier. We'll get to that. So let's start out with the first 4-star character, which is Lisa. Lisa is a solid electric unit, you get her for free early in the game, but to be honest, she's not the strongest unit in the game. So I would say if you really like them, if you really like her, you can build her, but she shouldn't be your top priority. Next up is Amber. I'm sorry Amber, but to make her do damage at Z0, you really have to invest a lot of resin, especially in artifacts, so it's probably not worth it. We have Noelle, the beginner's banner's maid, and she is actually quite decent, especially early on. So I would say she's definitely an optional build. So if you get her early on, you can build her. She's a good DPS, she heals, she shields, so she does like everything a bit. Later on in the game, you probably don't need her anymore, so it's an option. Next up we have Barbara. Barbara is a good healer. Apart from being a good healer and a good Hydra applicator, she's pretty limited in what she does. So I would put her in if you really like them. However, I would put her above Lisa. Next up, Sucrose. Sucrose is maybe one of the most underrated 4-stars in the game, and for the longest time after I got Kazuha, my Sucrose was sitting there at level 70, and it took me quite some time to realize how good she is, even if you have Kazuha. So she is, in my opinion, definitely a must build. She will boost your team, she will boost your other characters, which is why she's up there. She shares EM with the rest of the party, which is just like basically like a free instructor set. So, and she's very easy to build. You just want 4-piece VV and EM, and that's it. Also, you don't have to level her talents. You can give her a level 1 R5 Thrilling Tales, and she's gonna be a great buff to your whole team. Next up, Fischl, the Prinzessin der Verurteilung, as we say in Mondstadt. I'm a bit conflicted about Fischl. I really like Fischl. I have her at C3 after almost 2 years of playing, and she does a lot of damage and I really like her. But is she a must build? Compared to Sucrose, she is definitely worth building and close to a must build. So if you get Fischl, go ahead and build her, please. But like, if you have to decide, should I build Sucrose or Fischl first? Maybe you should build Sucrose first, she's more versatile. But Fischl is great and you definitely should go ahead and build her. But I don't want to put too many characters in must builds because, well, we're F2P. And I don't want to tell you guys you have to build everybody because that's not really an advice. But Fischl is very high up there in worth building. Next up, we have Kaya. Kaya carried me through the early game a lot as he was basically my strongest DPS. But now I don't use him that much anymore. However, he's still very good in some niche teams. So I would definitely put him in optional builds. He's very good in Rosaria, Reverse Meld. But he's definitely a good unit, and if you want to build him, go ahead. Next up, we have Razer. Now, Razer was also one of my early 4-stars, and so I leveled him up to like level 39. And I tried him out a bit, and he's still at level 39 this day. So, for me personally, he's not quite up there. I would say if you really like him, go ahead. Other than that, probably leave him at like 20. Oh, next up, the GOAT, the legend, Bennett. I mean, I don't really have to justify putting him up here, I think. Bennett is literally a 5-star. Like, he is at least one of the best units in the game. He buffs your attack, he heals. He's also very easy to build. You don't need like a lot of crit stats on him. You just want high base attack, a lot of ER, that's it. You can either build him as a sub DPS with a Pyro Goblet, or you can build him with healing bonus as a healer. He's super versatile, he's like in every team. And he will also like improve your whole team. He will not only be good on his own like Fischl, but he will buff your whole team, your entire party. Which is why he's up there. He is definitely a must build and maybe the strongest 4-star in the entire game. Next up, Ning Wang. She has a design of a 5-star in my opinion. She's pretty niche and she's not like the strongest unit. And Geo is also like we have some broken units in Geo, but like Ning Wang is not really one of them. So I would put her, if you really like them, like next to Razer. Beidou. Now Beidou is definitely worth building. I have neglected her for the longest time. Beidou is very good. However, she is not quite up there with the must builds, especially not at C0. Like if you have her C2, there is really a big damage increase, but at C0 she is still worth building and she's still very good, but she's not quite as crazy as Sucrose or Bennett. Next up, Shang Ling. Now, a lot of you might say like easy S tier, easy must build, and I wouldn't necessarily like disagree, but again, I don't want to put too many characters in must builds, and Shang Ling is not necessarily a must build on her own. Now hear me out. Yes, if you have her C4, she's amazing. Her C6 is even better, and I know like sooner or later you'll probably get them. Now my story is, in almost 2 years of playing Genshin, I never pulled a single Shang Ling. I have C0 from the free character you get after completing like floor 3 of Abyss. So at C0, she's still very good. She's the best Pyro off-field sub DPS in the game, at least of right now. But is she a must build? Almost. But again, she doesn't really buff your team. She does a lot of damage off-field, she applies Pyro, she's great. But she kind of wants Bennett in the team to really shine. So I would put her like at the top of worth building. She's like very, very, very close to must build, and you definitely should go ahead and build her. Like I'm not saying you should not, but I think Bennett and Sucrose are still like a different level of crazy. Feel free to disagree in the comments, but please stay like respectful. Next up, Shong Yun, Mr. Popsicle himself. I'm sorry, he's not really my priority. I would put him like above Lisa. He can be a decent cryo DPS early on, but he's also very niche and he doesn't really do crazy damage unless you really invest a lot in him. Not really a priority. Shincho. Now Shincho I personally have at C6 by now, but I had him at C0 for a very long time, and despite him being like crazy at C6, he's also already crazy at C0, and I would definitely say if you have him, you must build him. Like his Hydra application on normal attack scaling characters is insane. He's super versatile. Hydra is the best element in the game. You can play him in Vape, you can play him in National, you can play him in Hyper Bloom, like Quick Bloom, you can play him in Electrocharge, like with Sucrose and Beidou and Fischl. You have a team right here. Go ahead and build Shincho. He's also easy to build and he's off field, which is great for a lot of DPSs. So yeah. Next up we have Diona. Now Diona is an interesting character because a lot of people are not really a fan of her. And to be honest, I am quite the opposite. Like, I got Diona and I never really had a shield character, and then I decided to build Diona. And she shields, she heals, her cryo application is great. She's easy to build, you just give her like HP, and she will protect you, she will heal you. She's a great cryo unit. She's not quite up there with like Beidou, Shang Ling official in my opinion, but she's definitely pretty high optional build. I like her a lot. Even at C0 she's very good, so I would build her. Next up, Shinyan. Pretty niche, she's very good for physical DPS, but physical is not really what Genshin wants you to play, at least right now. If you really like her, sure, but other than that, I would not suggest that. Next up, we have Rosaria. Rosaria is definitely a good unit. Similar to Kaya's strength, I would say. Reverse Melsus Rosaria, which is what I use her for, is very good, especially like if you have Sucrose, Shang Ling, Bennett, and her. You do crazy damage for like low constellation 4 stars. So I would definitely put her in optional builds. Next up, Yanfei. Yanfei is solid. At C4 she can also like shield you, but at C0 she's a very good pyro applicator. She can be used as a DPS, but to be honest, like you'd rather use Shang Ling Bennett. So I would put her in optional builds, but probably on the lower side of optional builds. Next up we have Suou. Personally, I'm not a fan of Suou at all. I have her at level 1. If you need to collect crystal flies, she's great, but for combat, not so much. I mean, if you disagree, feel free to let me know, but I wouldn't waste my resin building Suou, to be honest. Next up, Kosara. Now we get to this extra tier I created. Kosara at C0 is mid at most, like not really great and not really worth building. At C6, she's freaking insane. She gives you like so much electro buff for your Raiden or any electro character that there I would definitely go build her. But at C0, yeah. Of course every character gets better the more constellations you have, but the other characters still work roughly the same at lower constellations or at C0. But there are some characters, one of them being Kucho, that just go from like not usable to like insane once you have C6. This is why like I have this extra tier. Next character from Inazuma, no, actually from Mondstadt, he just moved there for some reason, is Toma. And Toma is a good pyro shielder. I think his best team is definitely Virgin. If you slap a lot of EM on him, you would have to level him to 90 though. Personally, my Toma is not built, but I could see myself building him in the future when I have more resources to spare. So he's definitely an optional build, he's decent, he's not crazy, so that's where he goes. Next up is Goru, and Goru is the second one on this list, who's like, nah, at Z0, and great for Geo teams at C6. You can build him, but like, if you don't plan on like really investing in him before C6, I wouldn't. Next up we have Yunjin, and Yunjin is pretty niche, but all the good defense pieces you get, and well, to be honest we all have them, have to go somewhere, and Yunjin can really make the most of them as she buffs normal attack scaling characters. So if you have like Ayato or Yoimiya or you're planning to get them, definitely go build her, but she's not super versatile, which means she is like an optional build, maybe like next to Noelle and Toma. Followed by Koki Shinobu, and Koki Shinobu is insane. Before Dendro was introduced, she was like okay. After Dendro, she is a must build. Level her to 90, give her like as much EM as you can. ER is not that important. If you get some HP percent subs, that's great for healing. Level up her talents a bit, but her electro application is amazing. She's a great trigger for Hyper Bloom. You will do so much damage with her, just level her to 90. She is definitely up there. She will improve your whole party. She heals, she does damage, she applies electro. What else do you want? Go ahead, build her. Next up is Jesu, Animo DPS, so the F2P Wanderer, so to speak. I don't have Wanderer, I also don't have Jesu. I would probably build him because I'd like to have an Animo DPS, but objectively speaking, he's not amazing. So I would put him like, if you really like him, sure, but there are better options in the game. Now Kayle. Kayle you get for free if you clear floor 4 of the Abyss. And she is not bad with her Dendro application, but she doesn't do the most damage. The mushrooms she needs for Ascension are kind of annoying to farm, so I wouldn't necessarily prioritize her. I would also put her next to Jesu. If you like her, go ahead. Other than that, nah. Okay, who's next? Candace. Candace is next. Again, she becomes pretty niche good at C6, especially if you have Alepino, but I didn't build her yet. I have like C0 or C1. I'd put her next to Lisa. Now Layla. Layla is another very, very good cryo shield. She doesn't heal as Diona, but her shield is stronger. I personally don't have her. If I get her, I would go ahead and build her. And I'd put her up here, like next to Diona. Both of them are very good options. Farzan, I mean, Farzan is the definition of constellation locked. So at C6, yes, build her. Especially if you play like an animal DPS like Jesu or Suou or Wanderer. Everything below that, don't bother. So she is definitely down here. Then Yayao. Yayao is one character I really miss on my account. I don't have her yet. I didn't pull her yet. And in Lantern Ride last time I got Shincho for Constellation back then. And I kind of regret not having her. If I get her, I'd immediately build her. She's definitely up here in both buildings. She is very nice as a healer. She applies Dendro and she's easy to build, just HP. Yao, I really like her. You should definitely go make her work if you get her. She's worth building. Next up we have Maika. Maika is... He kind of got a bit better after Farina if you need like a burst healer and you don't have Jean or any other one. But other than that, he's not like amazing. So I put him next to Shong Yun. He's an optional build if you really like Maika. Next up, Kayle, the Lost Boy. Now I know I'm gonna get hate for this one, but to be honest, Kayle, I'm sorry. You can look pretty and try not to die, but that's about what he does. His best team is Nilo Bloom, and Nilo Bloom doesn't need Kayle. So it's not really a team he's worth building for. I'm sorry. Next up, another Dendro character, Kirara. Kirara is the latest 4-star character I built on my account, and I really like Kirara. Like personally, I probably put her on worth building, but I know she's not like crazy, but especially like with like some other elements, and you need a shielder and you can run her in sprite aggro rate without having a healer. She's very good, she's very versatile, she's very fun to play. I like the cat animations. So she's definitely an optional build, a high optional build, if not higher, but she's not quite as good as these 4, I would say. Then we have Lynette. Lynette you got for free in Fontaine, and that's also kind of what she feels like. She feels like a free character. I don't know, I don't really know what to do with her. I didn't build her. If you really like her, sure, but other than that, nah, I would save my resin. Then we're getting closer. Another Fontaine one, Framine. If you want a cryo claymore DPS, maybe go for Shong Yun. And if you want a cryo claymore physical DPS, say for Eula. I wouldn't personally build Framine. Next up we have Charlotte. Charlotte is another character I don't have on my account, and I really hope she reruns soon. I really want Charlotte, and that's because she's a very good unit. She's like a great burst healer. She works with Farina. She has crazy cryo application. She's also easy to build. She's an attack scaling healer, so you don't have to waste HP. You can use attack goblets. You can use attack circlets, and we probably have these a lot. So this way she also does damage. So I would definitely build Charlotte if I get her. And in my opinion, so should you, but she's not quite as crazy as these top 4 here, but she's definitely worth building. Getting closer to the end, we have Chevrus. And Chevrus just got her first rerun. Again, do not pull for 4 stars, but Chevrus is crazy. Even at C0. I personally don't have her at C6, I have her like at C2, I believe. But even at C0, Chevrus makes your teams so much better. She's an enabler. She enables new teams. She enables like overload, which other than that is like not worth playing. Just slap Black Tesla on her, R5. Give her as much HP as you can. Like try to aim for 40,000 HP. Give her 4-piece noblesse. Give her 2-piece. She doesn't need crit. ER is nice, but it's not necessary. Just level up her skill a bit and she will buff your team like crazy. She's my favorite support if I play Raiden. Without her, I think I couldn't have 36 star the last couple of abysses. Chevo is crazy. Chevo is even higher than Shang Ling for me because she buffs the rest of your team. And she does good damage. So if you have her, definitely go and build her. You don't need crit stats on her, you don't need like crazy CV or attack. Just HP, just a bit of ER, and you're good to go. Next up we have Gaming. Now, Gaming is one of the recent 4-star DPSs introduced to Genshin, and he is amazing at C6. He's still very good at C0, which is why he's not constellation locked at all. He's still worth building, he's still amazing, he's fun, but he's really good at C6. I'm lucky enough to have him at C6 because Farina took 160 pulls from me till I got her. So I got a bunch of constellations for Gaming and I really enjoy playing him, but if you don't have him at C6, which might be the case, then I think he's just an optional build, but he's a very high optional build. I really like the playstyle, he's fun. If you need a 4-star DPS, he's one of the strongest ones, so there you go. And then, last but not least, we have Setho, the boy from the desert. I don't have him, but to be honest, even if I had him, I probably wouldn't build him, but he's not bad. Like, he's a good DPS. You have to invest a bit in him, so I would say he's also an optional build, but I wouldn't put him quite as high as Gaming. I would put him like above Kaya maybe. That's a good spot. And then last but not least, we have our cute Geo girl from Natlan, Kachina. She's adorable. I really liked her in the quest, but to be honest, you don't really need to build her. You can level her up like to level 20, 40, whatever you need, so she doesn't die like immediately, and just give her the new Natlan artifact set and she will buff your team, yes, but it's not because she's broken, it's because the set is broken. So I would say if you really like her and you really want to invest in her, sure, let's put her like next to Barbara, but she's not like the most necessary character on your account as F2P. And that's it. That is my tier list, so let me know in the comments down below who you really love, who's your favorite 4-star character, who would you build immediately, and who you maybe regret building and investing resin on. Let me know also if you want to have like a 5-star tier list from F2P at C0, who should you pull for. I'm happy to make one as well. Thanks again for watching. If you like this video, please leave a like or subscribe. It will really help out this channel. And I see you guys in the next one. Bye!